Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another tropical update here by Age Weather Forecast. As you guys can tell, this is going to be another video and forecast for the potential for a potential tropical disturbance and formation likely for the Bahamas or just north of Cuba, and likely to possibly impact parts of the Carolinas, and some models even show making landfall. So we're definitely going to monitor this closely. It's very likely we can have a invest here very soon out here just north of Cuba, between the Bahamas there, likely with a low pressure system there, and then it will move off and possibly affect the United States. So definitely potentially watch out for this, and maybe even likely for it to become possibly Tropical Storm Arthur or Subtropical Storm Arthur. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We are one subscriber away from 2,270, so please hit that subscribe button, hit the share button as well to share to as many people as we can, and spread the word of my channel as fast and as much as we can. But without further ado, let's get in this tropical update here. So here we are looking at the tropical weather outlook here. As you can tell, we don't have any disturbance in the area of where we potentially going to have that formation. I really think we can possibly have it forming in this area and generally, and then it will move this way. So I think it's definitely this will be our area of focus here for a potential system. Of course, this is going to be the area of potential development right here, or not. It's going to be really right here where we have the potential area development, and then some models obviously possibly hit the Carolinas, and some models just go away from the Carolinas. But either way, it's definitely bringing a lot of impacts for the far coastal areas of the United States. So definitely got to keep looking at this 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook to continue and see if we actually have it invest. So this is actually a lot closer than we think now. It's actually it's possibly going to maybe form in the next coming 4 to 5 days. Most likely the 4 days where it possibly does form, maybe between the Bahama Islands, maybe even forms a little bit before, just north of Cuba. So definitely be seeing a lot of rain, and definitely going to have a lot of moisture, very little wind shear, very warm waters, and this is a very good scenario to possibly have a tropical system. And it does obviously looks like it's definitely possibly maybe a tropical storm, or maybe a subtropical storm, maybe even a tropical depression. Here we have a low pressure system at 1,009 millibars, and definitely be seeing a very heavy rain here. Definitely be seeing a lot of downpours and very widespread outer bands of the system. It looks more like really a one-sided system where you see rain all on one side and no rain on the other side. It's very one-sided system. That tends when you start to see something really unorganized, but it will strengthen at 1,009 millibars. The GFS model does show it now shifting to the east of the Carolinas. So it doesn't look like it will actually hit the Carolinas. It'll get very close, and it'll be very strong at 1,001 millibars. As you can tell, you're definitely be seeing these isobars extremely close to each other. So definitely be seeing very powerful winds in this. Definitely be seeing it's not going to be one-sided anymore. It's going to have these outer bands throughout the whole area now. Like I said, it could possibly affect the Carolinas. The outer banks, you guys can very likely see some rain and maybe some stronger winds with this, but it's just going to skin the islands, and then it will go off out there more into the Atlantic and then fall apart later on. Now we have something interesting on the CMC. The CMC is actually showing. It actually showed this earlier, and then yesterday it showed it in the more in the Bahamas and Carolinas. But now once again, it's possibly showing it forming in the Gulf instead, not a completely opposite side of Florida. Seems like this one could form here on the GFS in general, and then it seems like this one, the CMC is showing it here. So that's completely different really scenarios, and this is actually definitely something we actually need to find out. So CMC is completely disagreeing with the GFS and many other models, and it actually shows it possibly making landfall on the Big Bend. And of course, we can't say it's going to happen. Most models show it forming in the Bahamas and then moving or skinning the Carolinas, or maybe making a little bit of a landfall in the Carolinas. But this is showing it possibly going through Georgia, Florida, and bringing extremely heavy rain for that southeast. No other models are actually showing that as of right now. Icon, of course, it is showing it going to the same GFS, or like the GFS is showing possibly going to be affecting parts of maybe Bermuda can get some heavy rains, and it does seem like it will actually possibly come very close and then go out like that on the icon. So that's what the really big models are really showing. Now we're looking to the winds. So as you can tell, this is going to be our area of focus right here, possibly seeing a decent wind gust, 16 to maybe 20 knots out here. And then we have our defined low pressure system, going to possibly see around 34 knots, which is tropical depression winds, and then as we now get later into Sunday, this Sunday, we have possibly likely tropical storm force winds getting maybe plus 40 plus knots out here on the left side of the system, or the west part of the system there. As you can tell, these isobars are extremely close. That can definitely indicate, of course, a very strong cyclonic rotation and winds. And like I said, it could possibly bring some wind throughout the outer banks there and part of the Carolinas. And then it does fall apart a little bit. These winds do kind of fall apart, and then it kind of just diminish and just falls apart. Definitely. We will be seeing some cooler waters next to the Carolinas, not as warm, of course, in the Caribbean or the Bahamas. So definitely, it looks like the cooler waters will finally overtake it. Now into the vorticity, which is like cyclonic rotation or any rotation indicated. So as we get to Thursday, we'll see a bit of rotation here, or areas of big rotation, or big areas of indicated vorticity near the Bahamas. And then we have the system now very, very organized actually on vorticity. Very likely we could definitely be seeing really strong indicated vorticity. It kind of looks like a really defined tropical storm, as you can tell. Definitely, has possibly has a better chance to be named Arthur than what we thought in the Gulf, and then that, of course, just moves away from the Carolinas, kind of just like a blockade. Really, we have like a blockade, and that's gonna push it like that out of the way, and it kind of just scrambles and throughout. Between Bermuda and North Carolina, just scrambles right there, and then it just diminishes and falls apart. And then as we look into the simulated IR brightness, I'm sure this is going to really show you exactly. It's kind of like this is like another simulator, or this is like another really it's kind of like a I forgot the word for it, but it's like a satellite imagery. It's basically like a satellite imagery. Here it's going to be showing you really on Saturday. It does seem it's really, of course, lopsided, one-sided, have all of that energy on the really on the west side of this. And then as we move a little bit more into Sunday, of course, it's going to be heading towards the Carolinas. They're going to be seeing a lot of cloud cover in the Carolinas and really the coast. And then you can kind of see like the vorticity there. They're going to be seeing the low pressure system. They're going to be seeing some really strong winds here. And then, of course, then it does fall apart. And then it does move to the west. And then last thing we'll be looking at is the wind shear. And this is actually something that's really impressive. We're going to be seeing very little wind shear in the exact area where we possibly have that formation. So it's like it's kind of like it wants to happen. It's like separating the shears, like separating, and it's like a little hole. It's like opening up. And bringing out less shear in that exact area. And look at this. We will have a decent amount of shear right on the system, but that's exactly why we're going to be seeing this thing possibly lopsided or one-sided with it's because we're going to be seeing very little shear whatsoever on the west side of this low pressure system. That's exactly why we're going to be seeing that lopsidedness of the precipitation. You're about to see exactly why here. Here you see how it's very lopsided. You have all the precipitation to the west of the low pressure system. Same thing here. Very little wind shear to the west. So that's where we're going to be seeing those very strong formation. And that's where possibly have the strongest part of the storm. And then we have very little wind shear throughout the Atlantic now. So it's not really going to be lopsided anymore. It's going to be around Monday. And then by later Monday, look, it's not one-sided anymore. We have other scatter bands, but really it's not really one-sided anymore whatsoever, and that's because the wind shear is now very little across the Atlantic. And then it does here, of course, it does seem to fall apart a lot more, especially with the increase of wind shear. But let's go ahead and check out the precipitation here. So if we look at the total accumulated precipitation, you can kind of see its cone like that. It kind of just does shift to the north. Definitely gonna be seeing a big flooding threat throughout the really the western Bahama Islands or the northern islands. The smaller portion could be seeing up to a foot of rain. Most likely a good portion, 7 to 9 inches of rain, which is absolutely crazy. And check out the CMC models. Of course, it does show it now into the Gulf. So we definitely need models to agree. Obviously, it's possibly 4 days out really from forming based on the models, and based if it does form, it'll be 4 to 5 days from now. So we definitely need these models to definitely agree, and 4 to 5 days is a long time for tropics. It may not be really for severe weather, it kind of is, but it one day can completely change tropics, just like snowstorms. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and bye guys.